Mr. Cox, what's going on, brother?
Hey there, sir. How you doing? You doing okay?
Back for another day. Yes, I'm doing well, man. I feel good
today. Good. So we get ready to get in a new show tonight. We're gonna keep bringing you content as much as we possibly can. Can you tell us what we're gonna talk about today?
Yeah, we got two good topics. Obviously, we're gonna do our standard NFL B list, man. To see who's hot and who's not, and then we're gonna hit on some topics from this week, mainly the politics and sports. We're gonna talk about that with the Joey Bosa situation with San Francisco earlier in the week, and then we're gonna kick it off, man. And then I want to make sure everybody visits us, man. I mean, we're on Twitter at GentsMS, and we're also on Spoutable at GentsMS. All of our content, every video goes up on our YouTube channel, Gents Making Sense. You can see the full episode, and we put out shorts. You can take a look at that. And then finally, if you want to send us any comments, you got any suggestions, recommendations, we're at gentsmakingsense@yahoo.com.
There you go. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate that.
Do it now, or I'll hunt you down. Smash like. Do it.
There you go. Smash and like all of the above. We need your likes and we need your views. Like I said, we're steadily growing, and we got some new stuff for you coming up next year and everything. Right now, we're gonna go with our. I like to thank Suleiman on air. Make sure we thank him for being a great host. He hasn't missed a show yet. We have some more co-hosts that we haven't been able to get back in the studio in a while, but hey, Suleiman has done more than his share to keep this show going and everything. And
team effort, brother. Team effort.
But as a producer, I just try to get in there where I can fit in and everything. So we're gonna go and get back. So we're gonna go into something a little bit before it's like easing us into our political side tonight. It's athletics. When athletics and politics meet, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna try to bring up a clip where RC Ryan Clark is gonna be talking about the incident with Bozeman from San Francisco.
Joey Bosa,
yeah, where he interrupted an interview with one of his teammates and had a hat said "Make America Great Again," a MAGA hat and everything. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit and see what y'all think about that and everything. So hold on for just a second. Bear with us.
Out of sports, and you know how they say, shut up. What are your thoughts on what he did and then saying later that he didn't want to talk about it?
Everybody said keep it out of sports, but Jerry said some crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, I think he has the complexion for the protection. Wasn't Kaepernick's political? Kaepernick still talking about he working out. You can't tell me Kaepernick ain't better right now than some of these damn quarterbacks taking the field in the NFL right now. Keep the politics out of sports unless you look a certain way. And then you can say whatever you want and it's cute and they laugh it off. But that's what it is. You can't do it now because with the social media and the people retweeting and reposting and texting, you can see what side people are on at all times. You know what side people are on. But I just don't think he'll get criticized because of the fact that he's a clean-cut American white boy. And it was just a hat. That's what I say with them. But if he was a big old black dude from the hood, they would make it a bigger deal than it is. I really believe that way. He's a NFL family, his daddy, his brother, and all that stuff. I think Nick has the complexion for the protection.
I think a lot of it comes back to, you said protection for the complexion. A lot of favoritism comes into play. If it had been, someone like one of us, it would have been all over the media. The fact that we were fined for the hat, because it's a finable offense for the people that don't know that. It shouldn't have been anywhere near the field. So it was just a prop that they hit on the sideline he was able to get to sort of make an ass of himself. Again, we should leave our...
Okay, I'm going to leave that right there for right now. And we'll come back to it later where we got Ryan Clark portion of it, because Ryan Clark probably explained that part better, you know. So we'll come back to that video in a little bit. But what we got just there, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's crystal clear that, you know, they say, you know, he's got the complexion for protection. That's true. I mean, what he did is in my opinion, is unforgivable, and the NFL needs to take appropriate action. Everybody knows who Joey Bosa is, and his brother and his father and what they believe in. I mean, they got pictures and video of them sitting down at Mar-a-Lago with former President Trump. We know that. And I don't think anybody in this country really cares what they think as far as their political beliefs are, you know. But you're a football player and you're on the NFL's time. You're at work, you know, whether or not the game is on or off, you are at work. You represent the NFL. And for him to do that in such a blatant way on camera, so that everybody who's watching that interview after the game to see it, I think it should be addressed by the NFL. I will say this, though. I mean, it gets frustrating to me with a lot of these so-called MAGA people, is because they always find the one black person or the one Spanish person is doing the worst, that can't speak or is dressed a certain way or does a certain thing to be critical of, to say why they support Donald Trump. But I would submit to all of them, particularly Bosa's, is you've played your entire career around black people. Bosa came from one of the blackest schools in Florida in high school, right? Both of them. They played at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. He saw lots of black people on Ohio State's campus. He saw lots of black parents on Ohio State's campus. He saw lots of black people in Columbus, Ohio, that were doing what they're supposed to be, being citizens, being good people. Why do you always take the person who's not doing well and use that as a reason to want to support Donald Trump? You're in San Francisco, Bosa, one of the richest cities in the United States. You see all type of people there. You don't see just white people or just Trump people. The majority of people in San Francisco are Democrats. So you see them with all the money doing the jobs that they do in some of the largest tech firms that we have in this country. But then you turn around and you say, I want to support a guy like Trump. You sit in the locker room with black people who you know their relatives have been abused by law enforcement. You sit in the locker room with black folks who you know have been treated differently by organizations. And then you have the gall to come out and say that. So no, I have zero respect for him. And I have zero respect for people like Megyn Kelly. You don't hear her running her mouth. You don't hear Laura Ingraham running her mouth about shut up and rush. You don't hear any of that. Yeah. And it's because he's white. And so, yeah, they're 100% right.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. The strangest thing about that is that he could go up there and happily do it, knowing that there will be no repercussions for him.
Right. Yep.
Knowing what that stands for, he did it without any remorse, knowing that nobody will hold him accountable for it. Yep. It hasn't even been a blip on the screen this week. And nope. The thing that gets me is these shows like Get Up and Stephen A. Smith and everything. They didn't spend no time at all hardly talking about it. You know, it's right. These podcasts that are talking about it, because these national networks have to answer to a higher God, and I just say that as a metamorphosis. You know, it ain't a higher God. They gotta serve their advertisers. You know, so they can't do controversial stuff. You know, so a podcast allows people like these guys to do things a little bit different. I'm gonna see if I can get the RC portion of the clip. If I'm not successful, whatever it comes up is shareable and is worth listening to. So let me try it one more time.
All right.
He said, I want to make America a better place for people like us. Not because he said that he wants brown and black people to be superior to others, but just equal. He wanted their lives and our lives to matter as much as everyone else's life. The MAGA movement has been very clear that all lives don't matter the same, that all people aren't sort of deserving of the same treatment, of the same compassion, of the same level of life and liberty. And so I do think that the shut up and dribble thing that always is told to the LeBron Jameses when he speaks up against police brutality, to the Colin Kaepernicks when he speaks up against police brutality, to all of these athletes who were involved in movements in 2020, it only seems to go to the athletes that look like us, to the people that are speaking for the marginalized and the minorities as opposed to the majorities. Because when 45 called Colin Kaepernick and other people who kneeled sons of bitches, nobody told him to keep politics out of sports. So it seems very clear to me. Nick Bosa understands that when you wear that hat, you take a side. You take a side of division in a sport that's supposed to bring us together. I'm just waiting for all the people who comment under political and sports things to shut up and dribble or to shut up and play football to tell him to shut up and rush.
So that was the one I wanted everybody to hear, and that I think that sums up what you and I have been trying to say the whole time here.
Sure.
It sums it up. Those people, the same people that told LeBron and them to shut up and dribble, are not going to tell him to shut up and rush. It's very unfortunate. I just don't know how those guys coexist in the locker room. I guess because they're professionals and they got to be able to set those things aside.
No, I don't think it's that. I mean, we need to give credit to where credit's due. And credit is due based upon the black people, specifically black athletes, have had to deal with this shit forever. and we just know how to deal with it. We recognize that there are a lot of people that are in our locker rooms, that are in the stands, that don't give a shit about us other than the fact that we wear a uniform for a team that they cheer for. And black people understand that.
Yeah.
So they go in and they say, you know what? As long as he's rushing the passer and doing his job to allow me to get what I need to get as far as a financial benefit, then I'm not going to worry about it.
It's a means. It's a means to the end.
Huh?
It's a means to the end for us,
Exactly. So we recognize that we have to deal with with that type of stuff. Just like black people have always voted in this country for the lesser of the two evils.
Right.
I mean, right. Out of all the presidents that we've had in this country, there's only been one that was black.
Yeah. And
all of them, probably up until after President Johnson, were racial. Were racist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And so we recognize that we have to deal with that. Nick Bosa is just another example. He's a white guy that plays football in a predominantly black league. He makes his money off of black people. But he's the type of person that wouldn't invite you to his house for dinner. Wouldn't want your kids playing with his kids. That's how they are.
Yeah. And the thing is, just common people like you and I and all the other guys that are on our social media sites and in our football league, our fantasy football league, we are guys that go to work every day. We work hard.
Yep.
In positions of great authority that requires us to be the best at what we do. And we put up with, like you said, the stuff every day because we know that as long as we're getting the job done, it's a means to the end. I work hard because I represent me. Like my mom and dad told me when I was young, I don't care what you do, you work hard as you can, not because of the organization and not because you love the people, but because your work represents you. It's a representation of you. You don't want to be sloppy and lazy because you will be labeled sloppy and lazy.
Right.
and it ain't because of the business itself. Now, it's good to be able to go to a job, a work environment, or a job that you enjoy and you enjoy being around the people. But regardless, that's not the I don't know how many. What you think the percentage of people that go to a job where they love every day? What
they love? Oh,
yeah.
You're probably talking about in 10%, 11, maybe 10 to 20% max.
That's what I'm thinking. It just don't happen that. So when I hear young kids now talking about, I can't stand that job, I don't even like the job. So what you gonna do? You gonna quit? How you gonna provide for yourself and your family if you quit?
Yep.
So you keep.
I mean, I think it's just part of society, man. And I mean, it frustrates me because you know me. I'm pretty solid on, I'm more Malcolm than I am Martin.
Right. I understand that.
And I'm more like, you can believe and say what it is ever you want. I mean, one thing I always say to people, especially professionally, I'll say to folks, I'm like, I'll take my resume, my experience, my life experiences, and I'll put them up against anybody. I don't care who you are. We can put all that up against anybody. I'm better than you. I know I'm better than you. I perform better than you. I'm better than you. I don't care what color you are.
There you go.
But a lot of people aren't like that. And I think sports people are put in positions where, like, for instance, I don't know if you saw the other one, not the Nick Bosa one, but there was a Texas Tech player who, a field goal kicker, I believe, that they did a fake field goal and he scored a touchdown. He goes a touchdown. He pulls his Texas A&M shirt up and he's got MAGA on it, right? Now, this is a Texas A&M college football player. Now, how many rules and laws, and not laws, but rules and policies did he break by doing that? And then he turns around and you got to walk into a locker room where 75% of the kids that are on your team at Texas A&M are black.
Texas A&M is a military.
I'm sorry, my apologies. Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he was Texas Tech. So you got 75%, 65 to 75% of the players that are in your locker room have to now look at you. They're going to give you the side eye. They're going to be looking at you differently now because you did that.
Exactly.
And you didn't hear anything. You didn't hear the coach come out. You didn't hear the university come out. You didn't hear anything.
I ain't heard nothing.
Right. Now imagine if that was a ball player, black ball player that ran into the league, pulled up his shirt, and he had Black Lives Matter on. Or
power to the people.
or Nation of Islam or something like that.
Yeah.
They would crucify him.
Yeah, it would. We're no stranger to it. But I think you are shining an example of you can be who you are and still survive in this workforce.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, you don't hold no punches. You say what you mean and you mean what you say, and you still are successful in the workforce. The problem that these kids have, you can't talk all this shit and you don't work. You can't talk shit and you don't work. You can't do it. You gotta be good at what you do to be Muhammad Ali, Deion Sanders.
Right.
These guys, man, a good female,
Serena Williams.
Yeah, these girls, guys are good at what they do, so they got a megaphone. They can say what they want to say, pretty much, because they are good at what they do.
Right, and we always say, we know, because our parents and our grandparents always told us that we need to be 2 times better than the person who's we're competing against because of who we are. I mean, think about it. Venus and Serena, they had to be way better than everybody else for them to even get the opportunity to be where they are. The stuff that their father, I don't remember his first name, but Mr. Williams Richard Williams had to deal with to get his kids to be able to play in tournaments. Look, I'm a father whose daughter was a superstar in soccer. And I watched her. I went to all those tournaments where the majority of the people at those tournaments were 90% white, 5% Hispanic, 5% black. And I know that they didn't want my daughter out there. I know that they wanted to cheer against my daughter. But because she was so good and she was such a talented athlete, it didn't happen. So it's not new to us. We deal with it all the time. Nick Bosa is doing the same stuff that the players on Boston did to Bill Russell.
Exactly. Yeah.
The same stuff that Kareem had to deal with. I mean, I say to people, I say, why do you think that Lou Alcindor went to UCLA?
Mm-hmm.
A dude from New York City.
Right.
He went all the way across country to go play at UCLA instead of going to 500 other universities. He could have went to, Kansas. He could have went to lots of DePaul.
He could have went to Syracuse.
He could have went anywhere he wanted. But he went out there because he knew life was going to be a little bit easier for him out on the West Coast because they thought differently than the people on the East Coast and the Midwest.
Yeah. You're right about that. It's a dynamic that we don't look at that much, and we try to stay. And I know people try to stay out of the locker rooms and everything, but he brought it there, and I think it's something that the sports media, mainstream sports media, haven't spent too much time talking about, and I don't understand why they haven't spent that much time talking about. And that's going to lead us right over to our political topic for this week. Are Trump and Harris held to at the same standard, and if not, why? Now, I labeled this in the production notes as he continues to be lawless while she continued to have to be flawless.
Yep.
So that statement there tells you that there is a different standard and everything. I'll let you speak on it first, and then I'll come in. But tell me what you think about this phenomenon.
Phenomenon. Yeah, no, I mean, again, this doesn't go far from what we just discussed. We know that. I mean, think about President Obama. When President Obama was running for president of the United States, he had to be the perfect candidate. He had to be the most educated. He had to be the president of the. He had to be the president of the law degree at Harvard. He had to be an attorney, a lawyer. He had to be squeaky clean. Not have any issues. He had to be well spoken. But before he was even given an opportunity, and it was still 45%, 46% of the country that voted for somebody else. Kamala Harris, and I said this last time we were on here, and I say it to everybody that I can that hears me, and I'll say it one more time. I'm sorry to make you hear it again, but Kamala Harris is an attorney. Okay, she was the district attorney for one of the largest cities in the United States, San Francisco. She was the attorney general twice for the largest state in the union, California. She was a senator from California. She has been the vice president for 4 years. What else does she need to have in order to be president? Donald Trump is a trust fund baby. He's stupid. He can't speak. He has no policies, no plans. He's compromised by foreign dictators and foreign presidents. He's a 34 felony, convicted felon. He's a sexual predator. What else do you need to see? I mean, to me, there's no comparison.
Exactly. Man. I don't even know where to begin with this. It's so many different ways we can go with this. This don't even make good sense. It really don't. It don't make good sense at all. It don't make no good sense that we even having this conversation. It really doesn't. If you're looking at it and you'll say, well, most people have common sense. They'll take what you just said and they'll see what Donald Trump has been doing for the last 10 years. And you'll see what he's been doing just for the last 2 or 3 weeks. And you'll say, why are we even having this conversation? But for some reason, none of this sticks to this man. Well, we know what the reason is, and I keep asking that question when I know what the answer is and everything. There's this longingness for America, a portion of America to hang on to some semblance of dominance or power over other groups of people. You know, people get nervous and they get angry when they see that their lot in life is about to change, because it is going to change. They can put this out off as long as they want to. It's going to change, because this just the dynamics of the United States.
Yeah.
And the only way to keep it the way it is the United States is going to have to do what Donald Trump is trying to do. Is there and Elon Musk is the exact right person to help him do this,
Right.
is to make America like apartheid was in South Africa.
Yep.
They want to make the minority race the strongest race, regardless of how they're outnumbered by the majority. They want to stay in power. Yep. And the only way you do it is with an apartheid type system or Russian type system, where you got oligarchs and the so-called dictator running the country.
Sure.
And the people in the majority can't do anything, even though they're in the majority.
Yeah,
they can't do nothing about it. Look at the Supreme Court. Look at what they're doing. They're greasing the skids for him to be able to do this. You know, every function of the government has been changing in the last 10 years to kind of get us to where we are now, where we're fighting tooth and nail, trying to keep a democracy.
Yep.
That we said we wanted to be forever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might as well change the national anthem. You might as well, and Donald Trump already said he want to change the Constitution. So, do we really want? The question we need to ask Americans, since they want to vote for Donald Trump, do we really want to be a democracy?
Well, I think let me say this. I think you're 100% on. You hit the nail on the head. But I think the biggest problem is that the majority of people who are MAGA, or I want to say all white people, but a large majority of them, the reason that it's not important to them, or so important to them, that they maintain the democracy that we have, that we maintain the type of government we have, is because they didn't build it. They've only benefited from it.
Right.
They didn't have to live at the bottom when you were at the bottom and you got nothing, like Black folks did, and like Spanish people have, and like Asian people have. They didn't have to live and deal with the oppression. They've always been at the top. They've always had the benefit of the doubt. So to them, losing certain rights in the United States is not a big deal, because they've never had them taken away. They've never been in chains. They've never been taken advantage of sexually by somebody who claims they own you. Mm-hmm. They never had to do that. Their ancestors never had to do that in this country. So for them, it's not a big deal. It's like a game. But for Black folks and a lot of our allies, it's about recognizing that we don't want to go back to what our great grandparents went through in this country. Mm-hmm. We don't want the everything to be pushed back to the states, because we know what's going to happen when it gets back to the states.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
We know. I mean, that was the slavery thing. That's why this country went to wars, because the states decided we're going to oppress, and we're going to keep Black people in bondage.
Yeah, that's exactly what you hit that one too on the nail on the head. I heard two things today that tells you exactly what they're talking about. I heard a pundit on MSNBC today say something, a Trump pundit say something to the effect, if Kamala Harris is now, he's just throwing aside the great economy we got and everything, all the stuff that's going on, gas prices going down, all the things that they made as a metric at the beginning of this election that are going good, now they don't matter. Now they don't matter, because if she's reelected, if she becomes president, the next 40 years is going to go back downhill. Wait a minute. So we got something going uphill. Why would we change to something else? Not knowing what that's going to be.
Because other people, go ahead. I'm sorry, finish.
And so they can't, their metrics are all messed up. And he said, if she's reelected, we're going to have a socialist society where people are given everything. They won't appreciate it. And they'll continue to make this country go down because they're given everything. You know, I was like, that don't even make good sense. It really don't make good sense. And then you got Elon Musk a few minutes later making headline because he's telling their supporters, he's telling the MAGA supporters, tighten up your belt because some of the cuts we're going to make is going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
And they sitting out there cheering.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, they're going, you cannot, it's been, I've been into politics for the last 20 some years or so, you know, and I've been studying it ever since I got my master's in public administration. But the thing is you cannot balance the U.S. budget without cutting Social Security and Medicare. You can't balance the budget without cutting those programs or putting more money in those programs. And how can you put more money in the program? You make billionaires, millionaires, and business pay more into the system. They get more out than they pay in.
Well, also, you know, everybody, people, we talk so much about the social network in this country in such a broad discussion.
Yeah.
As opposed to talking about Social Security was never supposed to be the main source of you getting money when in retirement. It was supposed to be part of it. But what has happened over the last 50, 60, 70 years is that companies that used to give retirement to their employees cut it.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
My father retired from the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
And military. He didn't need Social Security. He
Exactly.
got it because it was something that he earned, he paid into his entire life.
Yeah.
But he didn't need it because he got a retirement from the state of Ohio. Most people used to get retirements in their company, which is why people stayed as long as they stayed. And Social Security was just a subsidy to say, hey, the government essentially saying thank you for the 50, 60, 70, 80 years that you worked. It was never supposed to be your sole source of income.
I'm one of those people right now. I'm in that same situation.
Right.
I really don't need Social Security.
Right.
I paid into it. I want my money. You know what I'm saying?
Money,
Exactly. So, because I'm getting retirement from the federal government, I'm getting disability from the federal government, I'm getting, and I'm getting a retirement from the state of Georgia. You know, that's how it was meant to be. Yeah. But unless you work for a government agency,
right,
the retirement is not as good as it used to be.
That's right.
You know, they're telling you, instead of companies paying into these retirements like they used to be, they're telling you, we're going to pay a small percentage. But
for 401.
Yeah, right. But you're going to put it on 401 and hope that
it grows.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what I mean. Yeah. When you talk to people who don't know that, the first thing that comes to mind, it's the social programs that are breaking the country.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you need to talk to the Jeff Bezos and UPS and FedEx and all these companies, Google, who every single year cut 14, 15,000 people. And a lot of people have worked at those companies for 5, 10, 15 years, and boom, they cut them off.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Those people have nothing to go back to.
Yeah, yeah. And I learned, I was smart enough to learn that early. When I graduated from college, I went into retail business.
Right.
And 2.5 years into it, I started looking at my future. And I started seeing managers in retail business working for 15 years, and they have one bad year and they say, you got to go. And they bring in another manager making $20,000 less than this guy was making. So they done save their budget with that one cut, And then I said, well, what you gonna do? And I talked to the guy I've been working with. I said, well, so what you gonna do? He said, I don't know. I've been doing this all my life. I said, well, you got a retirement, right? And he's like, no. I was like, what the? And so I started thinking about it. I was like, God, oh man, I better find something that get a retirement. So I looked at the Air Force and I was like, sign me up 20 years and I get paid for the rest of my life. Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, I can tell you about, just looking at, I won't mention the county, but there's a county around here that, used to have one of the best retirement packages in our region.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, basically, they would they do pre-Social Security. Basically, means that when you retire, up until you can get Social Security, they paid it.
Yeah.
They would you could essentially take all of your sick leave with you. Basically, that counts towards your retirement. So you get, if you don't take sick leave, you can retire after 20, 25 years, 2-3 years beforehand, because you have so much what's the name? For retirement plans, you have to work a certain amount of time and reach a certain age, and then you would get all that. They cut all that. Now they grandfathered everybody that came in with it.
Yeah.
All the new employees, they don't get that anymore.
Exactly.
So now you're expecting for somebody to come work for a local government for 20, 25 years of their life, and they got nothing. They get no pre-Social Security. They don't get anything.
Yeah.
So now the governments are starting to do the same stuff that private companies have been doing for 25 years. And then you wonder why the Social Security program is going broke.
Exactly. So just like with states, certain states, if you work 5 years, you get 10 years. You work 10 years, you get tenure. That means tenure basically means anything after 10 years, once you turn a certain age, in most
you're
states,
vested. You're vested.
Yeah, in most states, after you turn 60 years, you can start getting the money that you paid in and everything out. Or if you work 30 years straight, you can start getting your money right after you retire and stuff. But they're governments. They're either federal or state government. You don't find too many businesses that got those kind of retirement plans anymore.
Nope.
You just don't. And businesses have gone away from treating people as assets and treating them as liabilities and costing money.
Yeah.
So when you treat your people like a liability instead of asset, you get lazy ass workers. So I can't.
That's the reason why unions became.
There you go. That was my next point.
Unions came into existence because the companies were treating them like crap. Basically throwing them away after 20 years, 25 years, and giving them nothing. That's the reason unions came into place, is to build a coalition of workers to say, we want the bare minimum respect. We want the bare minimum pay. We want the bare minimum time off. That's the reason the unions came about.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you leave our country to the vices of the Elon Musk and the Jeff Bezos and those guys and the Zuckerbergs and the Microsoft guy, when you leave our world in the United States to them, they are going to look at the bottom line.
Exactly. Even Walmart. Take a company like Walmart. Walmart saw the tide going against them. So they started giving their employees $15, $18 an hour, $20 an hour. And then on the back end, we're going to cut 15,000 people. We got to find a way. But guess what? But guess what? We're not going to cut. We're not going to cut the dividends that our stockholders get. We're not going to cut that.
Well, how about in the fact that Walmart, no one talks about the fact that Walmart moved to one of the poorest states in the union. Why did they move their headquarters there? It's because Arkansas will give them tax breaks. Yeah. People say, oh, well, Arkansas is like, we're business friendly. Yeah. No, you're not. You're not taking taxes from Walmart, but you got your hand out to the federal government to get tax dollars from New York City and California and Illinois.
Exactly. But you're letting Walmart operate rent free in your state,
Exactly. That's what a lot of the
you're right.
That's what a lot of the red states do. It's like, oh well, we know Florida, no, we don't have any sales tax. Okay, well, you're making that up somehow.
I'm trying to figure out how Donald Trump, if elected president, is gonna let Elon Musk hold a position when Elon Musk got over $15 billion in government contract. he would have to give over. He would have to give over.
He'd have to give it over.
Yeah.
People can forget it. Donald Trump, we're not a dictatorship. He can't just put Elon Musk into a position. Exactly. He needs to be approved by.
Well, he found out late in his term that he could make them what do you call them advisors.
Yeah,
or he can make them advisors, or he could in those positions like Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense has to be approved by Congress.
Right.
He found out late in his administration that if he did acting Secretary of State and acting Secretary of Defense, they didn't have to be approved by the Senate or Congress. Right. They could work up to a year or two. I don't know which one it is. I think it's a year without being approved.
Right.
So then he would just let that person go and put another acting person in. So the thing is, and the thing I'm trying to put over to you is he's a lot more dangerous now than he was before. You know,
he thinks he's gonna get away with it, but it's all good.
Yeah. So I think we touched a lot of different areas tonight and everything. I think we can kind of button it up now and say we had a real good show there. You got let's give them our particulars once again and everything, and
yeah.
And then
absolutely, man. So this episode will be on YouTube, like all of our content is on Gents Making Sense on YouTube. It should be up within a day or two. We're on social media at Gents MS on X, at Gents MS on Spoutable, and you can see shorts of all of our stuff over the next couple of days. And then if you have any recommendations for us, things we can do better, please email us at gentsmakingsense@yahoo.com. We love all your input. Thanks everybody for listening, man. We're building up our subscribe list, and we appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for another.
Do it now, or I'll hunt you down. Smash like. Do it now, or I'll hunt you down.
Thanks for a good show, Suleiman.
All right, brother.
See y'all next week and everything, or week after next one. So
deuces.
We'll see.